Writing equations and graphing with slope-intercept form. I think you'll like this assignment. It's different. There's not as much algebra and a lot of counting, rise and run, and figuring out the intercept. First, a little bit of review. Remember that we can find the slope by using any 2 points. If we pick randomly any 2 points on a line, we can find the slope by calculating the rise and the run. Notice that in this case, the rise over the run, I picked randomly 2 points. The rise is 0, and with the 2 points I picked, the run is 2, and 0 divided by anything is 0. So what I want you to remember is the horizontal line, like the floor. Think of how floor is spelled, F-L-O-O-R. Think of those O's as zeros. Horizontal, slope 0, like the floor. The blue line, the slope is positive. If I pick 2 points on the line, any 2, and I count, notice that going to the right is positive. Let's think of the x-axis. Going up is positive. So the rise over the run is a positive over a positive. If the line goes up and to the right, the slope is positive. And if we had actual grid points, then we could count that. We'll do that in just a minute. Notice the red line. If I pick 2 points on the line anywhere, it doesn't matter where they are, and I make that slope triangle, the right triangle, going down is negative, and going to the right is positive. So when I do rise over run, the rise is negative, the run is positive. Positive divided by a negative is a negative. When a line goes down and to the right, the slope is negative. You need to be able to just glance at these and know. Up and to the right, positive, horizontal, 0, down to the right, negative. Is it heading down? Is it heading up? Is it horizontal? And the last one is the vertical line. And if I pick randomly any 2 points on the line and calculate the slope, I can do that here. I notice that in the points I picked, the rise is 2, and the run left and right is 0. And this is undefined. There is no answer for this. This is in WAMAP where we put DNE. We say it does not exist. Glancing at this example, notice that the slope is negative. So the line will go down and to the right. You know what to expect. Remember y equal mx plus b. B is the y-intercept. Notice that if I plug in 0 in this equation, 1/3, negative 1/3 times 0 is 0, and y is 2. In other words, the intercept is the point 0, 2, which would be right here. The slope is negative 1/3. Negative 1/3, rise over run. I'm going to rise negative 1, which means I go down 1 from the intercept, and run positive 3. I'll count right 3, positive 3, and there I am. Now I want to point out, if you move the negative below, it's still negative 1/3, but it works differently. The rise would be positive. So if I start at the intercept and I go up positive 1, and run negative 3, it's negative. I go to the left, 1, 2, 3, and I'd put a point. Graph your line, and you're done. In this example, y equal 2x minus 3. Our slope is 2, that's 2 over 1, and our intercept is negative 3. Again, notice if I plug in 0 for x, 0 times 2 is 0, 0 minus 3 is negative 3. In other words, the intercept is the point 0, negative 3. Put a point at 0, negative 3, and the slope is 2 over 1. That's up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1. Note that 2 over 1 is the same thing as negative 2 over negative 1, because a negative divided by a negative is a positive. And if I start at the intercept again, I can rise negative 2, which means go down 2, and run -1, I go to the left 1, down 2 over 1. Draw your line, and you're done. In this and the next example, what you're going to do is create the equation. You're going the other direction. So you need to find two grid points. And on the lines you're going to do, you just follow the line up and find an intersection, a grid point, where you can actually tell for sure what the point is. Now, theoretically, you could say, oh, this point is -5, +4, and this point is x is 0, y is 1, and you can put it in the slope formula. Slope formula is when you subtract the y's up top and subtract the x's below, and that would work fine. And that's actually a good way to do it. But you don't need to. But you need to understand, glancing at this line, that the slope is negative. It's going down and to the right. That's where students usually mess up if they count the slope. So if you make your triangle and you count the slope, you can start on either point. If I start up here, I would go down 3, that's -3, and right 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 boxes, that's +5. And I can see the slope is rise over run, -3 over 5. Now let's point out, while we're at it, you could have started at this point. And if you did, you would have gone up 3, that's +3, and left 5, that direction is left, that would have been -5, and it's still rise over run, which is 3 over -5. It's the same thing. Usually move the negative up top, though. So our slope is -3/5. The y-intercept sits right there. It is the point 0, 3, but it's 3. That's our b, which means we now know the equation is y = mx plus b, -3/5 x plus 3. In this example, we can see the line goes up and to the right. That tells us that the slope is positive. And we can make our slope triangle, count the rise and count the run. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's up, that's +7. And going to the right, 2, that's +2. So the slope is rise over run, 7 over 2. The y-intercept is right there. It's -5. So your b is -5. Y = mx plus b is 7/2 x minus 5. Here's some examples from your assignment. What you're going to notice is that these questions go very quickly. It's just a matter of finding grid points. We can see one right there and follow the line down carefully. I see the intercept is 1. And notice the line goes down and to the right. The slope is negative. So I'm going to go down 1, 2, 3. That's -3. And I'm going to go right 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's +5. So the slope is rise over run, -3 over 5. And the intercept crosses the y-axis at -1. Identify whether m, the slope, and B are positive or negative for each of these lines. The line goes up and to the right. That means the slope is positive. And B, notice that it crosses below the x-axis. The B is negative. This line, the second one, it goes down and to the right. That means the slope is negative. And B, it hits at the origin. So B would be 0, be a constant. For this line, M is actually 0. It's horizontal. It's the same thing. It's like the floor, F-L-O-O-R. Think of those O's as zeros. That's a constant. And B is positive because it's above the x-axis. A vertical line, remember you don't go left or right. When you do rise over run, it's rise over run, and the run is 0, and you can't divide by 0. It's undefined, or it does not exist. So the slope is undefined. Undefined. In WAMAP, we usually use DNE, does not exist, but it probably says undefined as a choice. And your B, it doesn't have one. There's no B. It doesn't cross the y-axis. There is no B. This is like the example where we're going to make the equation. But first we have to find the slope. So I'm going to look at the intercept. That's a good point. And I could go down or I could go up. There's one there and there's one here. Take your pick. I guess I'll go down here. Notice I'm going down. 1, 2, 3. That's -3. The line goes down to the right. Slope is negative. And the run looks like +5. So to determine the slope, it's -3 over 5, rise over run. And the vertical intercept is +3. So it's 3. The equation is y equal mx plus b, or y equals -3/5 x plus 3. In this example, you're doing the same thing as the previous example. It's just they give you 2 points, but we're going to use that line to make the equation. And this will be a little harder for me because I have a harder time drawing a straight line on a tablet. In WAMAP, you can use the line tool and get a perfect line. Let's give this a shot. I'm going to graph -8, 10, and 4, 7. Note that the intercept is 8. So our B is 8. And you could use the 2 points they gave you, but I can just use down 1 over 1, 2, 3, 4. So -1, the line's going down to the right, -1 over 4. That's our slope, -1 over 4. Down 1 over 4, down 1 over 4. That looks good. And y equal mx plus b is y equal -1/4 x plus 8. This one's a lot like the last one, except they give us a point and the slope. So first of all, we graph the line, 5, 5. There it is. Now the slope is -1 over 5. And move the negative up top. You could also put it below, one or the other. Don't put it on both because then it would be positive. Down 1 over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right there. Or move the negative below, 1 over -5, these are equal, and go up 1 over 5. Draw your line. We have everything we need. We can see the intercept is 6, b is 6. So y equal mx plus b becomes y equal -1/5 x plus 6. This is a super quick one. Our equation is y equal mx plus b. And we can see that when we put in 0 for x, that's what we're plugging in there, that's your x, that -5/3 times 0 will be 0 and y will be 2. The intercept is 0, 2, right there. And the slope is negative 5/3, m, equal mx plus b. Now, negative 5/3, this is your rise, which it's negative, you will go down. And this is your run, it's positive, you will go right. Down and right. So negative 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and run 3, 1, 2, 3. And there it is. Another super quick one. 0, 2, x is 0, y is 2. That's your intercept. The slope, your m, is negative 2 over 1. Remember, that's the same thing as 2 over negative 1. You can use either one. If I use this one, I'll rise negative 2. I'm going to go down and run positive 1, which is to the right, down 2 over 1. Or I could use that one. And from the intercept, I would rise positive 2 and run negative 1, which is negative 1. It's to the left. Graph the linear equation. Our m is negative 2 over 1. Isn't that what the last one was? And our intercept is 5. So they'll put a point at positive 5. And this is your rise. And this is your run. It's negative 2. That'll be down. And positive 1. That'll be right. Down 2, right 1. Rise negative 2, run positive 1. Another graphing with slope and intercept. Positive 2 is your intercept, that's your B, and your slope is negative 1/3, or remember you can make it 1 over negative 3. If I use this one, I'll rise negative 1 and go down 1 and run positive 3, 3 to the right. If I use this one, from the intercept, I'll go up positive 1, rise 1, and run negative 3, that's 3 to the left. With this question, you're going to use your equation skills. It's only 2 steps. You can do it, I know you can. This is in standard form. That's when the variables are on one side of your equation and the constant is on the other. We're going to put it in slope-intercept form because that's the quickest way to graph, although you could use intercepts here and graph very quickly also. Let's solve for y. First of all, we'll move the 3x to the other side. We're going to add 3x. When you add 3x, you cannot add 3x to 15. They're not like terms. There's no x on the 15. That's negative 5y equals, I'm going to put that in front. I'm headed towards mx plus b, 3x plus 15 because it's positive 15. Almost done. I need to get y by itself, and there's times between the 5 and the y. That's a negative 5. Divide every term by negative 5. And over here, I'm dividing them both by negative 5, but I would rather just write it like this. Divide every term by negative 5, negative 5, negative 5, negative 5, and y will equal negative 3/5 x, usually move the negative up top, minus 3. That means the intercept is negative 3, and we got a problem here. Negative 3 over 5, I'm not able to go down 3. It's off my graph. That means I can take and move that negative below because it's the same thing. It's still negative 3/5 and go up positive 3, 1, 2, 3, and run negative 5, which is 5 to the left. So I end up right there. This is what you end up with. Remember the trick of moving the negative to the bottom. It can come in handy if you're at the edge of a graph.